All right, so word problems, every unit's going to have them. It basically boils down to the idea that not only do we want you to demonstrate knowledge and skill in solving equations, things like that, but we want you to be able to apply. Right? But since the Regents ask particular types of questions, we tend to gravitate towards the types of questions that would be used on the Regents, which are not very interesting. They're not situations that you'd find yourself in the real world. You know, Charlie is making cookies and he wants to have a 2-to-1 ratio of chocolate chips and yogurt chips. I don't know. That's a thing, by the way. Those little morsels. Or you can go vanilla chips if you want. Just sprinkles, 2-to-1 ratio between chocolate chips and sprinkles. But that's what the Regents likes to do. You're not sitting there when you're making cookies looking at that kind of thing. You're like, well, does it have enough chocolate chips in it? It could never have enough chocolate chips. Put more in. All right. So, but here, you see, belongs to a movie club. Yeah, like what are we talking about here? All right, but let's start with number 3. Kate is saving to take an SAT prep course that costs $350. So far, she has saved $180, and she adds $17 to her savings each week. A little savings plan. How many more weeks must she save to be able to afford the course? First step is always going to be to define your variables. I was getting writer's cramp when I was grading your tests. Quizzes. For the number of times that I had to write let x equal question mark minus 1. All right. That happened to a fair few of you, so be careful. You have to define your variables. If you don't, you're always losing credit. All right, what is x going to represent in this problem?
Number of weeks.
Number of weeks, yeah. All right, so she has to get to a total of $350. She started with $180. She's adding $17 for each week, so 17 times x. That's going to get her to her goal of $350. All right, so every week she's saving $17. So if only I knew the number of weeks she was saving for, I could just multiply it by the $17 and I'll have how much money she contributed beyond the $180. All right, so now we have an equation. That's your second point when you take a quiz or a test. Now, let's solve for x. So what's 350 minus 180?
170.
170. Divide by 17, and we get x equals 10. All right, so that's your third point, the actual solution, finding out what x is. You have to take into account any excluded values if they exist. So when you come up with your equation, this is just linear. So all values are possible for x. I suppose even negative numbers in certain circumstances, just not this one. But we get a value for x, you have to determine whether or not that's reasonable based on the equation, based on your knowledge of the situation. So 1, 2, 3 points. Now I actually have to state what the answer is, right? Because x doesn't always mark the spot. In this case it does, but just telling me that x equals 10 doesn't really tell me that you know what that 10 really is. All right, so how many more weeks must she save? Okay, so must save for 10 more weeks. All right, small conclusion statement. Doesn't have to be a complete sentence, doesn't have to be a literary masterpiece. Spelling would be nice, correct spelling. I appreciate that. But I'm not taking off for spelling unless your misspelled word becomes another word, which is the wrong word. Like sometimes people spell something so horribly that they actually morph the word they wanted into a different word, and that different word may not apply. That's different. Yeah, it's almost like that person was trying to do that, but you do need a statement, all right? So, 10 more weeks. 2.5 months. And she'll have what she needs to take that SAT prep course, all right? You know, it's a simplistic problem, but it does have some value, because if you're trying to budget for something, then you kind of want to know, because this is telling me that if I were in this situation, I would need to start saving more than 10 weeks before the class starts. If I didn't do that, then otherwise I'd be in a situation where I can't afford the class when it does start. Right? So if the class is starting in April, I would want to start my savings before mid-January. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to afford it. Right? So there is some value, although it's very streamlined. Dan belongs to a movie club in which he pays an annual fee of $39.95 and then streams movies for 99 cents each. In 1 year, Dan spent $55.79. How many movies did he order? All right. Generally, the question is telling you how to define your variable. So, in this case, X would be what?
Number of movies.
Yeah, number of movies. All right, so starts off with $39.95. He's got to pay that no matter what. If he doesn't watch a single movie, he's still on the hook for $39.95. That's what they call a flat rate or a fixed rate. All right. So that terminology will work its way into some of our word problems. Plus, he's going to pay 99 cents for each one of those movies that he watches, and end up having to pay $55.79 at the end of the year, or by the end of the year. So we have our equation. Now we have to do the algebra. What's 55.79 minus 39.95?
1584.
15 what?
84.
84. Divide out the 99 cents, the 0.99. So he paid $15.84 above his flat rate. So that's the amount he spent on movies. So 1584 divided by 0.99.
16.
16 even?
Yep.
All right. How many movies did he order? He ordered 16 movies.